Welcome back, students. Today we're going to talk about dividing integers, and this is going to be a real quick lesson today because we basically learned this yesterday. Yes, dividing integers is the exact same rules as multiplying. We don't have anything new we have to learn. We're still going to use our Mickey Mouse. The only thing that's different is instead of multiplying the numbers, we're going to divide the numbers. So here we go. Let's take a look at a couple examples. So just like we practiced doing with multiplication, we're going to look at our problem and we're going to cover up what we see. So we see a negative 18. We're going to cover up a negative in our Mickey Mouse. We see a negative 6. We're going to cover up a negative in our Mickey Mouse. The sign that's left over, that tells us our answer. So we see that positive left over. That means that our answer will be positive. Now, when your answer is positive, you do not have to write the positive sign. Sometimes I write it as I'm working and then I erase it later, just so that I know I already took care of the sign. So 18 divided by 6 is 3. So my answer is positive 3. We'll try using Mickey Mouse again for our next problem. So this time we've got a positive 75. So I'm going to cover up a positive on my Mickey Mouse. We have a negative 25, so I'm going to cover up a negative on my Mickey Mouse. And I can see that I have a negative left. So that tells me my answer is negative. 75 divided by 25 is 3. So this time my answer was negative 3. Okay, let's look at a couple more problems. Now I want to bring this up because for some of us, this might be kind of new to see this symbol. This is another way of writing a division symbol. This is called a fraction bar. And in fact, this is how you're going to see division written most of the time going forward. As we move closer to getting ready for algebra, we're all on our way there. We're going to be doing lots and lots of more complicated problems, and so we're going to use the fraction bar. The fraction bar tells us that we're going to divide everything in the numerator by everything in the denominator. In this problem, it's just numbers. So we have, again, if we don't have our Mickey Mouse drawn for us, we just quickly add that. Remember, Mickey Mouse only works for multiplication and division. When we have addition and subtraction, we're going to want to follow some other rules. So we've got our Mickey Mouse, and we would want to cover up a negative for the 18. We would want to cover up a positive for the 2. And that leaves us with a negative 9 as our answer. Let's go ahead and look at the next problem. And we've got a negative for the 25. We've got a negative for the 5. So that tells us our answer is positive. So we would end up with positive 5. So again, we're using that Mickey Mouse exactly like we were doing for multiplication. Now we need to be careful when we start getting into more complicated expressions. So now we're tying in adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, all of those rules together. So remember, our adding and subtracting rules are different than our multiplying and dividing rules. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to substitute just the letter with its numerical value. So you need to be really careful when you do this that you don't drop any of the symbols. So I have 10 minus, then I'm going to plug in 8 to the second power divided by, and now I'm going to replace y with negative 4. So I want to go ahead and plug in a negative 4 in place of y. Okay, so be really careful. Now we're following order of operations. So order of operations would tell us first to do parentheses. We don't have any. So next would be exponents. So notice that the exponent is only talking about the 8. So that means we're going to bring everything else down, and we are going to multiply 8 times 8, which is 64. Okay? Now we need to be careful. Following order of operations, the next thing that would happen is we would do our division. So we're going to do 64 divided by -4. There's actually another way I could have done this. I'm going to show you at the end. So a positive 64, a -4. If you need to help remind yourself for multiplication and division, you can draw your Mickey Mouse to help you. So again, I have a positive 64, I have a -4. So that tells me my answer is negative 64 divided by 4 is 16. If you don't know that off the top of your head, you would do some long division. There is nothing wrong with needing to divide that out in order to get the answer. Never be embarrassed by needing to do the arithmetic off to the side. Now I need to bring everything else down. Sometimes people forget that subtraction sign. So I need to bring down the 10 and the subtraction. Now hopefully you're noticing the double sign. So we're going to do keep the 10, change subtraction to addition, change -16 to positive 16. And so then we just add and we end up with, I'm running out of space, aren't I? 26 is our final answer. Okay, so now that we're finishing up our integers, we have all the different rules. We need to be really careful that we're keeping track of each rule and each step along the way.